Hi my friend, hi, thank you for watching. My name is Mia and this is usually my virtual vanity, a place where we both love makeup and we're quite critical of it. But today we are literally at my physical vanity and I'm going to give you a tour of my end of 2021 palette collection. I do this almost every year because I find it quite fascinating to see how my frankly too large and borderline obsessive collection of sparkled colored dust grows and evolves, what I keep, what I give away, etc. I'm not going to be swatching because otherwise we'd be here all day, and I'm going to give mini reviews of each palette as I go. I've got quite a bit of an array here, so let's get started with the first pile, which I think is out of the camera. This is a palette from a brand called Stasi Alex. They are a European indie brand, and their whole shtick is color palettes inspired by birds. This is inspired by the Golden Kingslet. I really like this. The mattes are amazing, the shimmers are beautiful and duochromatic and multi-dimensional. I really want to pick up more palettes from them. This is from Bernovich, another European brand. I really haven't used this much. I need to use this more because it's such a pretty color story. I really like the Bernovich quality. For singles, they're truly my favorite brand. Oh, also, unless specifically stated, all of these were bought by me with my own money from my little corporate daytime job, so there's that. But when I do receive it in PR, such as in this case, I will mention it. This is the Huda Beauty Desert Monsoon palette. And look at it, isn't she a beauty? I've been really liking this palette and I'm so happy they sent it to me. The shimmers are very beautiful, very sparkly and multi-dimensional, and the mattes are absolutely lovely. This is one of my favorite purchases this year, and this is the Urban Decay Ultraviolet. I really like this for soft washes of color and translucent color pairings, as well as all shimmer looks. My favorite shades are Dazed, VR, Lucid, Warning, and Euphoric. This isn't a full pigment, full punch palette, but if you're into subtle or like fairy-like looks, you will love this. Next pile. This is the Romand Shade and Shadow Garden, and it's an all matte palette which I purchased off YesStyle because I wanted to have a perfect neutral passepartout, all kind of uses, like universal palette for me. So whenever I don't know what look to do, I pull for this one and then I pop a duochrome or a random shimmer on the lids, and this is very lovely. The shades are a bit powdery, but they blend themselves, so yeah, I really recommend this one. The MAC Pony Park palette was gifted to me by my mom, so I have great memories with this. I really like the packaging. The packaging is super witchy and is so up my alley, and I love tarot. The inside is quite neutral, and it wouldn't have been something that I picked up myself based on the inside. Also, something very interesting was that the shimmers initially didn't pick up to their full potential and I had to scrape the top. But once I did, this looks very pretty, very magical. The shimmers are slightly translucent and sparkly. The mattes are that easy to work with, MAC quality. Unfortunately discontinued, but I will never let this go. It's a gem in my collection. Me and this palette have a complicated public relationship because I love it. This is the Beauty Bay Pastels palette, right? And I've used it to bits. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I have dips. But I know that objectively this palette is trash. It's slightly too white leaning, so it doesn't look great on all skin tones. The shades are powdery with a lot of kick up and they don't much like to build up on themselves, and they do need a white base if you want them to look like what's in the pan. But I use them as watercolor washes on the lid and then a duochrome on top, and that's pretty perfect for me. I like the fact that they are basically anemic. So if somebody asks if I recommend this, I'd be like, yeah, no, but like a bad boyfriend that you can't help but call, I just really love this palette. This was sent to me in PR by Zeesea, and this is in their Queen of Hearts palette. I'm not sure if you can see, but the packaging has glitter that moves around in it, which satisfies my inner child very, very much. It's not something that I would have picked up myself, but it surprised me so pleasantly. This is one of the best reds that I have ever used. This is a green shifting duochrome with a warm base, absolutely beautiful shade. And the rest shimmers, great quality. The mattes are beautiful as well. There's this glitter that I don't use because I'm not keen on poking an eye out. Next pile, we have the Juvia's Place The Deuce. I used to have more Juvia's Place, but I kind of decluttered all of them. It's not my favorite formula. They're very high pigment, high impact. I like things that are more sheer and buildable. And I'm going to be honest, the reason why I keep this palette are these three shimmers over here. And also it's a great multifunctional palette, so these two can be used as blushes. This as well with light hand. This works as a contour very lightly. These work as highlights. This can be used as a, warmer colored eyebrow shade. So it's a really, really cool little palette, just not my personal preference anymore. The side-by-side nude palette by Nabla has been one of my favorite nude palettes. I really like the variety in here. I like the cool tones. I like that you have some browns, some golds, lots of duochromes. I love Better Society and love Ritual, especially such beautiful deep shades. And the mattes are that great Nabla quality that I've come to know and love. This used to be the Through My Eyes palette from ColourPop, but as you can see, I've kind of edited, I've made it my own. I just love putting stickers on stuff that I start to edit out because it makes it feel new, and it's tricking my brain into shopping my stash instead of itching for more new stuff. I have also changed the inside. I have added these purple shades, some duochromes, I think. And I've also changed the arrangement of colors so it feels more inspiring to me. I like a gradient-ish arrangement in general. And I've been really, really enjoying this in its new format. Let's get the Nabla palettes out of the way. Nabla has been one of my favorite brands ever since I started my channel, but I don't collect all of their palettes because I don't need all of their palettes. And I only buy stuff when it's truly inspiring to me. The Soul Blooming is one of my favorites from them. You might think, Mia, you keep saying things are your favorites, but I don't see much usage. I will have to make the disclaimer that I am very light-handed and I use very fluffy brushes, so it's very hard for me to create dips in anything because the brush isn't pinpointed. It takes off a big surface area instead of drilling into the pan. Anyway, I love this palette. I'm so mad that they're discontinuing it. This is me in a palette. You've got beautiful spring-like duochromes. Garden Gate is absolutely lovely. Philosophy is again one of my favorites. The mattes are impeccable, but I will not wax lyrical too much about it because unfortunately it's discontinued. You can't get it anymore, but I will continue my relationship with it, whether you can have it or not, because I love it. The Dreamy palette was one of my very first big curl palettes. The Nabla Dreamy 2 is more neutral. You've got these pops of purples. Unfortunately, the lyrium is trash, but it is pretty to look at, I'll give it that. I really like using this in autumn because it's a very nostalgic color story. I don't know how to explain it, but the tones themselves lend themselves greatly for melancholic girl fall. The Nabla Dreamy 2 is one of my favorite witchy palettes because it looks like you caught an ancient star under a blood ritual and pressed it into the pan. It's beautiful. It's a very dramatic palette. These shimmers are not for the faint of heart, but if it's your thing, I highly recommend it. And the mattes are no joke either. I love New Past, and Dionysus is a great blood red. Okay, let's get rid of this little bit of small palettes. Also, if you're in search of organization stuff, buy Ferrero Rocher, you know, the candy, the chocolate bonbons, the ones in the plastic packaging, because all sizes make for great organization items. Like I have so many of these Ferrero Rocher plastic boxes in my bathroom, in my bedroom, organizing stuff in my vanity drawers. Like, they're really good. So this is a little Glam Shot palette. I love their empty 8-pan palettes. They're really cute. The plastic is quite hard, and all I need to do is put some washi tape on top of them and label them. And I tried to make here my perfect pale girl palette over here. One of the shades shattered, and I've replaced it with this Asgard Queen single because it works with the mattes. Glam Shop in general makes very glittery, multi-dimensional shimmers, and I've been really enjoying their matte formula as well. The Naked Heat was decluttered to me by a friend. I keep it because it's the perfect little warm toned palette. I don't really use these types of warm tones, but when I do, this is what I pull for. This is the Romand Dry Violet Quad, and this is from their Hanbok project. This is a very cute ashy violet quad, and I really like this shimmer. It's really multi-dimensional, and it's perfectly pocket-sized. I love how tiny and adorable this is. And the mattes are really nice. The colors work really well for brown eyes. Huda Beauty Nude Light, very beautiful neutral palette for someone thereabouts my skin tone. I really like this pop of purple as well. Huda is one of my favorites. I love her formula, I love her mattes, I love her shimmers. I'm a bit of a Huda stan here. Like, some people say that her stuff is overpriced, but for me it's worth it because it kind of hits almost all of my preferences eyeshadow wise. So yeah, I really like this one. The Huda Beauty Neon Green, one of my long time top 3 palettes. My vision for this is not neon. My vision for this is spring fairy frolicking through a meadow. I don't use these full pigment. I don't expect them to be full pigment. I use them as a wash of color in the crease, and then one of these beautiful multi-dimensional duochromes. The Huda Beauty Khaki Haze was not as loved by me compared to the other palettes, but I still like it. It's okay quality. I use it a lot in the autumn. I find these mattes to be a bit higher pigment than what usually does and a bit more unwieldy, but the shimmer formula is what I'm used to from her, and I really like that this has quite a couple duochromes in here. This is a McQueen palette, and this was sent in PR by YesStyle. I am not that big of a fan of this palette. The mattes I really can't say anything bad about. They're buildable, they're blendable, they're really amazing quality. The shimmers are bizarre to say the least. This shade is incredibly flaky and I have a hard time picking it up with anything. These other shades are just anemic. And then this shade is fine. I like this shade. So I'm not sure how much this will live in my collection, but I'm really keen to get more use out of it before passing it along or decluttering it. This was also sent in PR, but this was sent by Stylevana, and this is the Hamish Coral Berry 9-pan glitter palette. This is all various shimmers, various glitters. I have a recent video with it where I kind of went out of my comfort zone with the type of makeup that I did, including using this glitter over here, which isn't, you know, it's not half bad. I dislike glitter on principle, but this is acceptable. I really like this palette simply because it's full of shimmery, glittery goodness, just like I love it. Last but not least, the Natasha Denona Mini Star. I received this as a gift for my birthday this year. I took it with me traveling. It's a really pretty palette. I wish that this blue-brown duochrome was actually better. I find it to be, it needs building up, and then it has a darker base than I would have liked with not as much of an obvious shift. But otherwise, I'm really happy with this little palette. These two Kaleidos palettes I received gifted from a friend. This is the Futurism 3 Astro Pink. And this used to have a sparkly matte black, which I've replaced with a ColourPop pink because I feel that I like this color story better that way. The Kaleidos formula for me is not my preference because, as I said, I like sheer washes of color, but their shimmers are absolutely amazing. And if you're the type of person that wants high pigment from the very beginning, you will enjoy their mattes as well. And the packaging is stunning. Then I have the Futurism 1 Sci-Fi Green. Really love these military khaki tones, and the shimmers here are again exquisite. This is one of the best blacks that I have ever used, but it does have a bit of fallout. Once again, a palette that used to be ColourPop, and I depotted it. I changed some stuff around, I put some stickers on it. It's a very synthwave at the moment. This has shades from It's My Pleasure palette and from the Good Sport. Some of the shades in the Good Sport didn't perform as well anymore, so I've kind of turned it into something else, and I'm really happy with this color story. This is Glam Shop, and I'm sorry if you're Polish and you're watching me, your ears might bleed. Nie zapominajka, which is Forget Me Not, I think. This is like the Soul Blooming, but Gen Z. It's like Soul Blooming's quirky Gen Z sister. Very beautiful, intense duochromatic shimmers, and this in particular is quite glittery. Really like the mattes. They're buildable, they blend on themselves, they're true to pan. Big fan of this one. This is the Sweet Talk from ColourPop, and this again was a bit edited. I took out the glitters and replaced them with some other shades that I had lying around. This is a really pretty coral spring color story. I am very happy with the quality. I was still very happy with the quality when I got it. I just wish they quit it with those stupid glitters. The Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes has been a staple in my collection for a long time. And it's again one of those palettes that I default to when I don't know what to wear. I just pop some of the mattes in here for a pinky look that is very flattering on me, and then duochrome on the lid, and I'll call it a day. My favorite shades are Peaches and Cream, Just Peachy, and Peach Punch. Really beautiful little palette, and it still smells amazing. This is the Zoeva Eclectic Eyes. This was limited edition 2 years ago, I think. This is a very dark and moody, going clubbing in a dystopia type of color scheme. I really like the Zoeva quality, but something that to note is that while their mattes are very easy to work with, I find that their shimmers are more on the understated side compared to everything else that I have in my collection, and they're a bit thicker. That doesn't mean that they're less good quality. They are really good quality, but they do give a different effect than most of the stuff that I have in my collection, which is more like I want to look like a unicorn, just puked glitter on my face. So there's that. The Huda Beauty Rose Quartz is one of my favorite palettes this year. I have a review and 5 looks with it posted quite recently, so I won't wax lyrical about it. Love the mattes. These are my tones. Love the Huda formula. The shimmers in this are outstanding. My camera was begging for a break, so I took the rest of the stuff out. But continuing, beautiful quality. Love Stone, the Petri dish shade, is completely useless, but otherwise, love this. This is the Zeesea British Museum Anderson Cat, and it's one of the first Zeesea palettes that I purchased. I really like this. The packaging is super heavy. I have a review video on it. And I really dig the color story inside as well. It's a Nile Riverbend type of color story because you've got these deserty, sandy mattes and shimmers, but then a pop of green, yellow, duochrome blue, duochrome green. Very enjoyable little palette, and the Zeesea quality is really good. Still from Zeesea, this time they sent it to me. This is the Scarab palette, and this is a pink toned affair. Again, these are my tones. I love the quality in here. Love the shimmers, love the mattes, but love the packaging most of all. Honestly, I'm a magpie. The Natasha Denona Sunset palette, I have a review on this. Unpopular opinion, I think she's overhyped. I am not a big fan of her shimmer formula. I think that the mattes are fine, but nothing that I need to write home about. I did rearrange this palette so I could use it more, but to be honest, if I had to redo it all again, I wouldn't spend $65 on it. But since I did spend so much money on it, I will use it until it turns to dust. Last but not least, this is my Beauty Bay 42 Bright Matte palette. And this didn't look like this. These are all stickers that I put on top of it because the packaging was this color. God, I don't even know how to put it in the frame, it's so big. This color, and it was driving me insane. I purchased this because I wanted a catch-all rainbow palette, and I have to say I've been really enjoying it. It's really useful to have around. It kind of has every matte shade that I more or less need. These shades are a bit powdery, but they blend okay. I wouldn't say this is my favorite matte formula, but it works fine. Let's talk single palettes. This is my holo palette. I have one holo from Bernovich and two from Glam Shop, and I kind of regret spending my money on them. They're very beautiful, but I find that they're the kind of beautiful that looks better swatched than on the eyes. And that might be because I have not that big of a lid space, so they don't show up to their full potential on my lids. I'm saving this because I'm thinking to do a art project with them, but eventually they will get turned into something new or decluttered. This is my little everyday duochrome palette, and this has the duochromes that I love using the most day to day. This is a collection of Bernovich and Forever Lash, which is a Romanian brand. The Bernovich have a sheer base and a high sparkle glittery finish, while Forever Lash are creamier. I wouldn't call them satin, they're still shimmery, but they have a more subtle effect. Like you can see when I move it in the light. Really like this little palette over here. I find it very inspiring. This is a what didn't fit anything else but still kind of matches type of palette. These are two Depotted Wet n Wild blushes. This is from an Urban Decay palette that I didn't much use. I kept this brown because maybe one day I will go traveling and a medium brown is useful to have. These are ColourPop Depotted singles. I don't use them that often, but I kind of like how it all looks in this palette, so I'm not decluttering any of them yet. This is my collection of Glam Shop single shadows. Love Glam Shop, but if you ask me to pick between Glam Shop and Bernovich, I would choose Bernovich because I find their formula to be more consistent across colors. Don't get me wrong, Glam Shop is still good quality, but I find Bernovich, I know more what to expect with it, and also I find that the swatches for Bernovich are more true to what you get in real life. Speaking of Bernovich, this is my collection of Bernovich shimmers that aren't, you know, combined with other stuff. Love these things. These are my absolute favorites. It's like I'm having a collection of precious gems in my vanity. I can't overstate my love for these, truly. This doesn't look as tidy, but I did try to put it in a semblance of colorful order, sort of, maybe. This is what didn't fit in the other palettes, and it's random array of brands. It's got like a little bit of everything here. Here I have other stuff that didn't fit. Neve Cosmetics, which have huge pan sizes that give me anxiety. And then these little pans over here, these are notoriously morbid pigments, and like various pigments mixed with each other because I tried to do an alchemy basically, and I mixed them with Duraline. which made for quite an effective mixing medium when used in the right amounts. And by the right amounts, I mean doing it like a grandma cooking a dish that she's done for 30 years, and I mean eyeballing it. But yeah, it was a fun little experiment, and they haven't crumbled on me yet, so there's that. Last but not least, this is my matte singles collection. I have no idea why I have so many green ones, because I don't even wear green that much. Okay guys, this has been it. This has been my eyeshadow palette collection for 2021. Tomorrow, or anyway, sometime before the new year, I'm going to post a full-on vanity tour. Because we've kept moving around furniture in the house and my vanity location changed, and I had to kind of adapt to that. So it's going to be really fun showing you guys what changed, what I keep where, because I know I love those types of videos. I love being nosy about people's setups, so I will love doing another one of those too. Perfect logic. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to have a wonderful morning, evening, second breakfast, third lunch, or whatever it is where you're from. Bye!